Here's an update on Broward, the dude who was sentenced to 400 years in prison for committing a crime for a crime he didn't commit. Um, Yet we have people murdering and raping others, and they get basically nothing compared to this. It's crazy how you can do nothing wrong and still get convicted to 400 years in prison. Like, there's people that have murdered and tortured others, and they still don't get that much time. But hey, this dude who had no involvement in anything whatsoever gets 400 years in prison and served 34 out of that. The government better give this dude millions of dollars over lost income and life that he had to deal with. And what about the people who actually did the crime? For 34 years, they were scot-free. It's crazy. And it just shows that our justice system only cares about getting a conviction, even if it's a wrong conviction, because they don't truly care about, like, putting the bad people behind jail. All they care about is their own records, like how many people they've got put into jail, and that's all it is. It's not actually about, justice and getting the bad people put in jail. It's just about how many people they can put in jail. And we know why, because prison labor is a for-profit business, especially when it comes to putting black people in jail.
Tell the folks at home the first meal you had and how it was.
Olive Garden. The appetizer was good, but I didn't like the shrimp.
The taste of freedom after spending more than 3 decades behind bars. Sidney Holmes is enjoying his second day as a free man, and that tastes much better than shrimp. I can tell you that, I'm sure.
Okay, what would taste better than shrimp in a day of freedom is millions of dollars in your bank account so that you can actually have a life. Because what is this guy supposed to do? How is he supposed to get a job? How is he supposed to get a house? How is he supposed to have an actual life when he spent 34 years in prison? I mean, okay, what? He's gonna, apply for a job and they're gonna be like, oh, hey, you got this 34-year blank history of no employment. What did you do? And he's gonna be like, yeah, I was wrongfully convicted of armed robbery. And the employers are gonna be like, well, we can't hire you.
CBS News Miami was there the moment that Holmes was released and reunited with his family on Monday.
Yeah, that's the moment that was decades in the making. The emotional day was something his loved ones thought they'd never see after Holmes was wrongfully convicted and sentenced to 400 years. But tonight they're counting their blessings.
Yeah, and we covered the story when it happened, but we have more for you tonight. CBS News Miami's Chelsea Jones sat down for a one-on-one with Holmes.
Simple pleasures like coming here to the beach is what Sidney Holmes missed. So we came here today so he can enjoy it. Here's part of our conversation about life after prison. How does it feel to soak this all in?
The smell of the ocean feel very good. Very good.
Yeah, 34 years behind bars for something you didn't even do. How did you do it?
Faith. That's the only thing I had was faith. I know sooner or later somebody will understand and hear my cry.
The judge that convicted him, the witness that lied about him, the prosecutor that lied as well, they all should be in jail for putting an innocent man behind bars. And it's not like they cared about the actual evidence, because there was no evidence against him showing that he was a part of the crime. So they're like, oh, this person said something, so boom, he is automatically guilty. It's pretty wild how somebody can lie about you and put you in jail for 400 years. And it's wild how the judge and the prosecutor doesn't care that there is no evidence against you. All they care about is putting you behind bars because you're a black man.
I kept myself busy. I educated myself. I did, culinary art skills, computer skills. I also got an associate degree in theology.
You went in at 22. Do you remember how you were feeling 34 years ago when all of this happened?
Angry, sad. Just don't know why it happened to me at age 22, and I was being successful. I had a career going. I was going to school for surgical technician.
Republicans want to claim that they, care about the family unit and family values and stuff like that, and then they do something like this. Put successful black people behind bars because they did nothing wrong. And it's all about, Republicans trying to create as much prison slave labor as possible. This guy is like 56 now, and he has a large part of his life that doesn't exist anymore because he was in prison. So many memories, so much money, so much time spent kidnapped and tortured in prison for doing nothing wrong. How can we as a society say we are like a democratic nation when innocent people are put in jail for no reason whatsoever? Black people are put in jail just so that they can be slaves to the prison. There's a reason why the 13th Amendment says slavery is illegal unless you've been convicted of a crime, and that's why private prisons were able to take off and become a big thing, because they get all that cheap, free black prison labor.
No consistent, and all this happened to me in a blink of an eye. I lost all that.
Tell me, what's something you want to do?
I want to be an advocate, to be able to assist someone that was in the same situation I was in the future, along with running owning a business, but only time will tell.
You talked about just now how so many things are different. I mean, we have iPhones now, there's electric cars. How have things developed as you are outside and you see all of these new things?
This is basically a guy that was removed from time and then thrown back into society. It definitely would be hard to deal with when, it'd be like if I'm like 31 now. It'd be like if I didn't exist for like the past 30 years and then boom, I exist as a 30-year-old and is supposed to like deal with society when you wouldn't even really, know what to do.
Real, because the only thing they had back then was a beeper.
A beeper? I can't say that I've even seen one of those in person, but I know what you're talking about. So yeah, you saw your mother Monday for the first time in your family in 2 years because of the pandemic. What was that moment like to embrace?
Unreal. It was a moment I've been waiting, actually hug my mother and my sister. Only thing was missing my daughter.
How was it to like sleep outside of jail and just be surrounded by your family?
Being out, being able to sleep in a comfortable bed, being able to just being going outside at night, just smell the fresh air.
Okay, so he was in jail for somebody else's crime. Is the state or the county going to look for these people that actually committed the armed robbery and put them in jail for their crime? Because no, they're not. Because cops don't care. As long as they can get somebody convicted, it's all that matters. Our justice system doesn't actually care about convicting bad people for their crimes. All they care about is increasing prison labor so that corporations can have slaves.
It's unreal.
So what are you looking forward to most now that you have your freedom, you can breathe the fresh air, you're not behind bars, and again, a new chapter begins?
My daughter, because when I came to prison, she was 7 months old. Now she's 35. So now I have a build a relationship with her that I didn't have. I have a relationship from behind the bars, but now I got to build a relationship on this side.
Wow. And you know what Republicans like to say about black people? Oh, they're lazy deadbeat dads who don't care about their families and blah blah blah. when you got a black man who wanted to have a family and a relationship with his kids, but couldn't because he was convicted for something he didn't do. The destruction of the black household is a is has been created by the U.S. government, and then black people are blamed for the destruction of their family when they're put in jail for nothing, or something they didn't do, or for drugs. When you have DEA agents and Florida Highway Patrol member selling drugs to people and busting them for drugs, it's like, you know, racism in the United States is a real thing. You can claim that it's not, but, you know, the entire war on drugs was only to arrest black people and put them in jail for slavery